Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was released on November 15, 2019. It's an action-adventure game that blends lightsaber combat, platforming, and puzzle solving all into one consumable drink. The game takes inspiration from series such as Uncharted, Dark Souls, and The Legend of Zelda, just to name a few. With an all-new original Star Wars story set after Order 66 and before A New Hope, players take control of a young Jedi named Cal Kestis as he ventures around the galaxy in hopes of restoring the Jedi Order to combat the ever-growing Imperial Army. There is a lot for this game to live up to, especially being an original, single-player focused Star Wars game we've gotten since The Force Unleashed 2, which is back in October of 2010, if you don't count the campaign mode in EA Star Wars Battlefront 2, which released in 2017. 9 years later, and single players are given a brand new Star Wars game to digest. The question is it any good? Does it live up to the Star Wars name? Does it even play well? Is the story interesting at all? The short answer is yes, it does live up to the Star Wars name and is one of the better Star Wars games we've gotten in a very long time. Right out the gate, I do recommend going out and picking this one up. You won't be dissatisfied. My only quarrels with the game are some minor bugs and post-game content which I'll explain later in the review. For now, we're going to break this thing down piece by piece. The story of Jedi Fallen Order is an all-new original story that follows a young Jedi boy who survived Order 66 as a Padawan and is on a quest to restore the Jedi Order with the help of his companion Cere, a former Jedi Knight, and Greez, the pilot of your ship. As the story unfolds, you learn more about Cal and his past as the Imperial Army and Darth Vader's personal inquisitors hunt you down. Without giving too much away, the story is well written and the characters have some fun interactions. It doesn't feel cheesed, rushed, or forced by any means. You'll also hear about and run into some familiar faces from the films as you embark on your quest. While there are some great moments in the story, I do wish that your companions traveled with you more often. Most of the cutscenes with your companions take place around or inside your ship. They don't follow you around or participate in any of the action, much like in Uncharted, where Nathan Drake's friends will not only fight alongside you, but will participate in the climbing and action sequences. I was hoping for more of that here, but unfortunately it's not present. That's not to say there aren't any heartfelt moments or funny gags though. You'll be experiencing them solely as Cal as you interact with the world and other characters around you, which makes the supporting characters like Cere and Greez have a limited presence since they aren't actively engaging with the world as you are. Nonetheless, I will say that the story is worth your time and playthrough, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. While the combat of this game is centered around your lightsaber and force powers, you won't be blasting enemies off screen with force push like in The Force Unleashed. The game takes a very strategic approach to the lightsaber combat, which can be compared to games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. You'll be parrying, blocking, and constantly dodging incoming attacks, trying to time your saber strikes just right. But unlike those games, there is no need to worry about difficulty here. The game does give you the option to set the difficulty. There is a story mode difficulty that makes the combat very forgiving for those who want to play just to experience the story, or who might find this type of combat difficult. In contrast, there is also Grandmaster difficulty for those who want that insane sadistic challenge instead, with normal and moderately hard difficulty thrown in there as well. Saber combat feels very rewarding when you successfully parry and take down an enemy. Even after you've upgraded Cal's health and abilities, enemies as simple as stormtroopers can sometimes pose a challenge when you're being swarmed by multiple enemies at once. This can also pose as a problem since part of your battles will be with the camera, especially when you're in tight corridors or near a wall. Being that the game is a third-person action-adventure game, the camera is always behind Cal and tries to stay there even when there's a wall in the way. You'll often find yourself getting cheap shot or killed at times because of this. However, where this game really shines the most is through its lightsaber duels. Going up against a boss with a lightsaber feels exhilarating and astounding. The game does a magnificent job portraying lightsaber duels by capturing both the aesthetic and feel of two Force users crossing sabers. Because there are only a handful of saber duels in the game, it feels magical when engaged in this type of battle, and you really appreciate the detail, tension, and epic moments that these fights have to offer. But it is a double-edged sword, unfortunately, because at the time of this review, there is no way to replay any boss fights or action sequences after you've beaten the game. Even the final boss is unplayable once you've completed your quest. This really bogs down the replayability of the game, since although you can explore the world, upgrade your skill tree, and collect stems to increase your health, there isn't a duel mode, horde mode, or any way to replay boss fights. Weren't these things kind of pointless since there isn't any incentive to level up your character post-game? There isn't even a new Game Plus feature to go through the game in new outfits or have different saber colors. The meat and potatoes is all through your first playthrough, and once you finish your meal there isn't any dessert or seconds to go around. The game loses incentive to continue playing, except for of course merely exploring. We're hoping that in a future update or potential DLC that some of these things are added, but as it stands, you will be playing the game for its initial experience. Similar to the Legend of Zelda series, you'll be searching the galaxy for health stims similar to heart containers in crates to increase the number of stims you can carry, since your health doesn't replenish on its own. Your droid companion BD-1 accompanies you on your journey and provides these health stims along with a number of abilities that will help you traverse the galaxy's planets, along with help you find new treasures during your travels. Most of the goodies on each planet will either be cosmetic, lore objects which provide additional backstories and XP, and lightsaber parts. Exploring can be quite addicting, especially searching for parts to customize your lightsaber, which is one of the coolest features of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. However, you're mostly limited to cosmetics for your character's poncho that he wears in the beginning of the game. Immediately ditch that thing though, and search out the jackets you can equip to Kale. I will say that while exploring is fun, there should have been other cosmetics such as Lost Jedi armor and other cool outfits you'd expect to see in Star Wars. Only being limited to poncho cosmetics is a bit disappointing, but customizing your lightsaber is one of the coolest features in this game contrary to that. From the hilt to the emitter, you can collect and equip parts of your lightsaber as you build it to fit your perfect liking, a feature that we hope becomes a staple for any future Star Wars game like this. Unlike games such as The Force Unleashed, this game is not linear, but isn't exactly open world either. There are a number of paths you can take that will lead you all around a planet, from shortcuts to entirely new branching side paths, a format similar to the Metroid series. You'll also be completing puzzles that are reminiscent to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and like the Uncharted series. Most require you to use your force powers in unique and creative ways, which really hones that ancient Jedi temple crypticism you'd really expect in the Star Wars universe. Luckily, if they get too challenging, you can ask BD-1 for help without consequence other than a jab at your pride. There is a nice balance of combat, puzzle solving, platforming, and exploring here. I found myself constantly engaged at all times looking for loot and exploring new pathways, as it's really addicting during your first playthrough. There is plenty to see from the Star Wars universe, and the game really captures the scope and environment of each planet you visit. You will not be disappointed in the sights you see and things you learn from this adventure. While there are a few bugs like some collision issues and graphical slowdowns, the overall performance of the game runs well with the occasional loading pauses, but it still acts as a seamless, semi-open world environment that you'll be eager to explore. Our final score for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a 7.5 out of 10. With 5 being average and 10 being absolutely perfect, this game deserves to be played and experienced by Star Wars fans and casual action platformer gamers alike. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a fantastic addition to the single-player lineup of Star Wars games and is by far one of the best lightsaber force power-based games we've ever had. The story is solid, the gameplay is really fun, and the worlds are crafted beautifully. However, with the lack of post-game replayability, such as replayable bosses or even an arena-based mode with this type of gameplay, it almost feels like a game designed for a one-time playthrough, where you play the game for the story and experience and then leave it on the shelf as a collector's item. There's also a bit of missed potential with outfit limitations to a poncho and lack of big-time secret bosses, but in all, gamers who like single-player games will not be disappointed with this one. The only reason you should pick this game up right now at full price is to support the developers and publisher to create more games of this style in the future. It's got a unique flair that we hope gets a sequel or expanded upon in the future, as there is huge potential in this one, and we think there should be more Star Wars games like it. Otherwise, wait until it goes on sale, unless of course you're a die-hard Star Wars fan, which in that case, we recommend picking up as soon as you can. We hope you enjoyed this review. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the game, or if you plan on picking it up in the future if you're looking to do so. We do recommend it. We'll see you all in the next one. May the Force be with you, and until then, peace out.
Will you look at that? A Separatist ship. Haven't seen a Luke or Hulk in ages.
Yeah. Ages.
Breaking her will be big money. All right, let's go.